Okay, so I just wanted to get on here with Carson. We want to just tell our story. I know we kind of came out of nowhere, so I just wanted to tell you our story in business, how we went from basically starting with absolutely no money, I had $73, to building this business that we now have doing multiple millions of dollars per year in pure profit. So I'm going to just walk you through the full start to finish, where we started, what we're doing now, everything A to Z. Right, so I'm going to tell this story because I think this is very important. So in October of 2021, I was in college. Carson was in college. He was a freshman. I believe you were 18 at the time, and I was 21. And we decided, we've been working with the Kids Cancer Foundation our whole life, just volunteering, working with the children, stuff like that. And the Kids Cancer Foundation is in West Palm Beach, and they help the kids and the families of children with cancer, right? So they'll do anything from pay for gas bills to get them Christmas presents to negotiate their curriculum, because if they miss one school year, do they go back to first grade, do they go to second grade, etc., right? So we've been working with them our whole life, so we decided at that point that we wanted to raise money for them. So up until this point, this is why this story is important, is Carson and I had nothing on our life on track, right? As we were just partying, going out in college, nothing to do with business, nothing whatsoever, but we decided, like, let's just see if we can make this work. Right, so the first thing we did is we called the person that manages the money for our fraternity, the treasurer, and we said, hey, listen, if we're able to raise $3,000 for this foundation, will you guys match it? And we'll make you look really good in the newspaper. We'll put you in the press, on TV, on the news, everything. Will make you guys look good, right? So they agreed. So the next thing we did is we just wrote out like a really long Instagram post, really long Facebook post. We just posted it, right? At that point, over the next 2-3 weeks, we were able to raise the $3,000. Our fraternity matched it, so we got $6,000. And then Facebook does something called Giving Tuesday, so they'll match any donations for charities up to a certain point. So they matched the $6,000. So we raised $12,000, and we bought 400 kids with cancer Christmas presents, right? So I'm telling this story, it has nothing to do with business, but everything to do with us getting our life together, right? It was the first time since we played football that we were focused on something that actually mattered, that actually did something, and we were kind of able to see what we were capable of, right? So fast forward a few months from now, it's April of 2022, and I'm turning 22 years old, May 16th. And all my friends, they already booked it. I was planning on going to the Dominican Republic for my birthday, the Hard Rock anniversary, they had a special on the rooms, whatever. We were super excited for it. I went to book my trip, and I had $73 in my bank account. Right? At that point, I was just very embarrassed, didn't really know what I was doing. I had one more semester left in college, and then I was into the real world. Carson at the time had tried out some e-commerce stores, Amazon stores, stuff like that, to no success, but he was a little bit more on the entrepreneur side than me. I did nothing except for bartend, and then I was working internships like cold calling when I was younger, right? So no business experience, and I decided I'm going to start trying to wholesale because I saw other people doing it in our university, and they were making good money. So at that point, I kind of locked all in on this. I had no mentor, no one to guide me through this, so I was just testing everything, reading books, watching YouTube videos, and at that point I just figured I got to figure this out because I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. So at that point I deleted all social media. Carson and I just kind of locked in, and we were 5 a.m. to midnight, this is what we're going to do until we figure it out, right? So accidentally one day I was just sending out texts hey, I'll buy your property, hey, I'll buy your property. I had a builder text me back. That builder said, hey, I'm not going to sell you my land, but I'll buy any more properties you have in the zip code up to 100 properties for $40,000, right? So the next day, I sent a text campaign, and I just said, hey, $30,000 to $35,000, I'll buy your property. And I had 4 or 5 people say yes over the span of a week. We then flipped them for $40,000, and we were making $6,000, $7,000 per deal. We made $40,000 in a week after never making more than $200 in a week in our entire life, right? So at that point, we kind of went all in on this. July 1st of 2022, Carson and I founded our company, JW Light Homes. Over that summer, we made about $100,000 in profit. We then did what any 19 and 22-year-old would do, is we got the shiny object syndrome. We figured this wholesaling thing isn't a real business. Let's try to build a real business. So we took our $100,000, we invested into an Airbnb arbitrage course, meaning you rent a property for $4,000 and you try to get $7,000 a month on Airbnb bookings, and you scale that business. We lost $100,000 doing so, right? It wasn't what we thought. We didn't know we had to buy furniture. We thought it would become furnished. We didn't know last month security deposit. So that was an absolute nightmare. We had 3 Airbnbs in Arizona.
Basically, all of the money that we made thus far was gone after Airbnb.
So we went back to doing what worked, right? We had nothing once again, and we went back to wholesaling. So we were wholesaling. We took all of the couches out of our living room in college. Carson and I lived together. and we put 2 desks there, and we would just, again, work nonstop, right? We just learn some things, make some deals. We were doing pretty well. We were doing like $20,000-$30,000 a month in profit. And then in October, we were only doing Cape Coral at the time. The hurricane hits Cape Coral. It was a major hurricane. They didn't have power for like 2-3 weeks. And at this time, we probably had $25,000-$30,000 saved up because, again, we lost all of our money with the Airbnbs. And we had to make the decision by December 1st whether or not Carson was going to drop out. And everyone else was against it. And at this moment, October, we were supposed to have a good month. We had like $45,000 over 9 closings to one investor that were set to close. And we hadn't heard from him in 3 weeks. All the contracts were invalid. And because the market crashed after the hurricane, he was going to lose money on every single one. He comes back, he closes on every one without hesitation. We get the $45,000, and to this day, we've done over 300 deals with him. That's another story. He's one of our best friends, one of the best business partners we could ever ask for. But that happened in October, and without that, honestly, I don't think Carson would have dropped out. We would not be sitting here
Yeah, this
today.
was honestly a huge point in our lives.
Yeah.
I don't know where we'd be if this didn't happen, at least for myself. I mean, I know where I would be. I would be finishing up my senior year of college with no idea what I'm going to do, not doing business with my brother, and have not done all the things that we've done up until this point. So that was a huge thing. It honestly showed us a lot about business because this person we're talking about honestly was more of a mentor to myself because I met him in the beginning and he mentored me for the most part. Jackson had somebody else that was kind of like that for him, but this person showed me how to do business the right way. And from that, it's completely changed my life, completely changed Jackson's life, completely changed everyone's life just because somebody was a man of their word and actually stuck true to themselves and got this done. So it was a huge point. Was able to drop out of school and then continued where we moved down to Miami, which I'm sure
so that's next thing. So January of 2023, we're both now dropped out of college. I graduated with 1 degree. Carson did drop out his sophomore year, and we did the next thing that everyone that's young and makes money does is we went straight to Miami, right? And we didn't understand how expensive Miami really was. So we get down there. At this point, we probably have $50,000-$60,000, and we have first, last security deposit on our apartment was like 20 grand. And just like daily life in Miami is pretty expensive. And we were also maybe having a little bit too much fun. We were burning like 50 grand a month, right? So we're getting tight to where like, okay, we have February rent paid, but I don't know about March, right? So in December, it was December 28th, I learned about mailouts and we figured, hey, we made some money. We're going to get hit with taxes. Let's try to get a write-off in. I'm going to send $4,000 in mailouts. So I just sent those in December 28th.
Mailouts meaning mailers to buy people's land.
Yeah. So they take about 3 weeks to actually arrive and everything. So come mid-January, it was 2 days after his birthday, January 23rd, I get a call from a seller in a market we've never done before. And they were like, hey, listen, you sent me this mailer. I'm interested to sell. I had no idea what these properties were worth. They didn't even have property addresses. So we look them up on the appraiser, and Carson's like, hey, like I know Cape Coral lots that are worth 40,000 are assessed at 10,000. These are assessed at 15. Maybe they're worth more than 40,000. So I was like, okay, we can do 37,000 for your properties. She agreed. We went ahead and put those properties under contract. So I'm calling agents now to say, hey, do you guys have a builder that would like to buy this, right? So I just called an agent. I said, hey, what's this worth? He goes, this is worth $180,000. I immediately was like kind of just sitting there for a second. I was like, okay, thank you very much. Hung up, called the next agent. Hey, what's this worth? $180,000. And then at that point, we kind of looked at each other like, there's no way we just made $150,000 on a 7-minute phone call, right? Because again, like at this point, we were kind of paycheck to paycheck on these deals, living our life. So at that moment, I called the title company. I'm like, listen, I need these closed as quickly as possible. And for 2 days, we didn't sleep, right? What if there's a lien on the property? What if it's a fake seller? What's going on here? Long story short, we ended up making about $135,000 in about 2 weeks on that deal. And then we had some more campaigns or some more deals from that mail out campaign hit to where February and March were our first true like big months for us, right? Like March, we did over $250,000 in pure profit. So at that point, again, we were just like, listen, we need to go all in on this.
This is when we realized truly that this land flipping business was something that honestly didn't even seem real at the time. Like we made $130,000 profit off a 5-minute phone call.
Yeah.
It was absolutely unreal. We truly couldn't believe it. We were like, we need to focus and dedicate all of our time to this business because if we take this serious, we could really be making millions of dollars doing this. And we felt a little bit of money for the first time and we were like, wow, this really could be something here.
So we're in Miami. It's March. We're making a ton of money at the time off of big deals. And we're like, okay, we have some money now, let's hire employees. Meanwhile, we had no system set up. We were not ready for employees. We had no training set up.
I'm 19 years old. He's 22. We've been
Yeah.
in business for 6 months at this point.
We hire 13 people at one time. We take our couches out of our living room in Miami. We have 13 people with no system set up. It's an absolute nightmare. We're training all day. We don't know what we're doing. We don't even have anything to track deals. We're writing them down on a whiteboard. It was we weren't ready for that at all, which was another huge lesson we learned. We still actually made a ton of deals and actually made a ton of money, but it was too stressful. We realized Miami really just wasn't the place for us. It's a great place. It just isn't our personality really. So we dropped everything and we moved to Texas in May of 23. We lived in Texas for about 10 months, and Texas was a huge build phase for us. And no one really saw it, but we kind of cleaned house to where it was just Carson and I again, and we just built all of our systems up, everything ready for employees. And then come October of 23, like literally at this point, it's 6 months after we've been building systems, we were ready to hire again. So we hired our assistant, we hired our marketing coordinator, we hired our acquisition managers. We have the absolute best team in the world. They're amazing. And at that point, our business really scaled, right? So 2024 was an absolute massive year for us. April of 2024, we had a property under contract for $1 million. Thought it was worth about 1.4 to 1.7. So we think we're going to make an absolute huge deal. We get past the expiration date. Typically, there's never an issue with this. I had a good relationship with the seller. I was like, listen, we're getting close to expiration here. I'm just going to keep shopping it around. If you want to sell it, I'll release you. We're all good. We had like a 45-minute conversation. I thought I was good. April of 2024, we get a attorney letter that they're suing us for the $1 million for the property, or we have 14 days to close. So at that point, we sat there for a little bit. We're like, what are we going to do here? We started looking on the market, looking at comps, and we're like, wait a minute. This exact lot just had a house sell for $3.4 million, and it's not even newly built, and it's only 2,500 square feet. So I called the builder. I said, what could you build this house for? He said I could build it for about 1.2. So I just started doing the math. I'm like, $1 million for the lot, 1.2 for the build, and we can sell it for 3.5. This starts to make a lot of sense. So I called every agent that I could even think of in Marco Island, and I'm like, hey, is this a good deal? And they're all like, that's an amazing deal. Why aren't you doing that? So we went ahead, we raised the money, and we purchased the property with an investor. We don't get all the profit on the back end, but that is our first development project. It's expected to be completed by August of this year. So then about 2 weeks later, had one of those agents that I called and asked about the deal say, hey, I have this deal. It's listed for 4.5 right now. The seller would take a lot less, probably in the 3s. So this is an amazing lot, open water view, amazing. And he's like, listen, you could build a $12, $15 million house here, right? So I call, I'm like, we'd like to submit an offer. We're going to be at 2.6. They're listed at 4.9. They accept 2.9 million. So then same thing, we raise the money for it. We don't get the whole profit. It's split on the back end. And we're building a 6,600 square foot on that lot. We're going to be all in about 8 million on that. We expect to sell it anywhere from 12 to 15. So those are our 2 development deals, and that's how we actually got into development. So fast forward, we moved to Scottsdale, trying to build our business out here, and we now are getting into the coaching side of things. Because we are now looking to do more development projects, and we also invest in land. So we thought, what better way than to get the deals way cheaper than we would get them on the market by showing people to do what we've done, right? Because we always sell the lots to builders, and we're like, what are these builders doing? We make 5 to 10 grand on a deal. The builder's making 100, right? So we're now the builders. So we're trying to show people how to bring us our deals, essentially, right? So we started actually teaching people in December we've had like 1 or 2 people over the years just kind of pay us for consulting, but we really launched our program in November of December, and it so far has been amazing. We've been able to buy these properties from people. We're now able to build more houses. We have more developments going up. We've bought like 20 lots in the last 45 days from students that we're actually going to invest in, and this year we're going to be just really focused on. We still have all of our employees in our wholesale business rolling right now. We do about anywhere from 20 to 30 deals a month. I never really touched on this, but since 2022 we've done 500-600 deals plus. Yeah. So that's kind of what our story is up to this point. We have a lot of big goals, a lot of things we want to do. So we're going to continue running our wholesale business. Our employees do an absolute phenomenal job doing that. Everyone we work with is incredible, and we spend a lot of time on that business because it's what got us here and what worked, and it's also an amazing business model that we love to do. And then we're doing a little bit of the coaching and mentorship, and then we also are doing the development, which is not a ton of work. We just kind of raise the money, hire out the builder, find the right deal, do the development deals, and that's everything we're working on right now and kind of what we'll be doing during 2025.
And kind of just to recap on everything of just like going through kind of how it felt when we were getting started and where we've gotten to the point we are now. So up until this point, last year we did 239 deals, close to $2 million in net profit. We've generated over tens of millions of dollars of revenue. We have over $12 million in active real estate development. We've done over 500 deals, closing in on 600 deals now. And this is all within the back half of 2022 up until now, the beginning of 2025. Right. And I would say for everybody that's probably in the beginning stages of when he was saying we're in college, 5 a.m. to midnight, those first 2, 3, 4 months when this is the hardest point to get through, because again, you haven't really seen the money yet. You're just self-motivation, trying to get this done, trying to grind, trying to work, trying to cut out all the negative influences. Nobody's going to support you. Everybody's going to think it's the wrong thing. Everybody didn't want me to drop out. There was a bunch of negative influences in my life and his life, and you have to get rid of all those things and push through that point, because again, up until this point, I just named everything we've gotten done since then. I would have thought you were crazy if you said we were going to be able to accomplish all these things since then. And if you don't push through those first couple months before you've seen anything, you're never going to get to that point. And we're sitting here as a testament to, I promise you that it's possible. Right. We're sitting here in a 9,000 square foot house. We have our dream cars. We can go to dinner every single night and do whatever we want. Go on vacation every single day if we wanted to. And that's all because we stuck through those hard times and didn't believe what anybody else said, believed in ourselves and stuck to it. And it's the same thing for anybody else watching this. The only difference between myself and a college senior is that I took the risk, didn't listen to anybody, and actually did drop out. And you can do amazing things truly if you believe in yourself and you work hard at it every single day. And that's the only difference between one person and another person, is one person is willing to take the risk, has the right mentality, and is willing to work hard. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how high your IQ is. It doesn't matter what circumstance you grew up in. It doesn't matter how much money you have to start out with. If you truly want to make something happen, you will make something happen. And I think that's the biggest part of our story, is just...
Yeah, and the one thing I'll just correct him on is not everyone can do this. Is some people are born, you can't speak. Some people are born with no arms. Some people are born in other countries that are communism. But if you're born in the United States and you can speak English and you can type on a computer, you can accomplish anything you want, right? No matter what that is, right? If you want to have an 8-pack, you can do it, right? It's just, what do I do to get there? If you want to be rich, you can do it. What do I have to do to get there? If you just want to have a nice house and be able to spend time with your family and your kids, you can do that. What do I have to do to get there, right? And then figure out what steps you have to take to actually get to that point, and then just do it, right? It's not hard. There are so many things that can help you grow in any stage of your life, right? Like reading books helps you. Working on a business helps you. Working out helps you. Exercising, spending time with family. If you're religious, doing any religious practice will help you. Anything like that is helping your life. Scrolling on TikTok is not going to help you. Watching Netflix is not going to help you. Watching sports games, which again, if you like to do it, great. But if you're trying to get to a goal, it's not going to help you, right? So things that don't help you or benefit you whatsoever, because there are also things that hurt you, right? Like smoking weed is going to hurt you. Going and drinking every night is going to hurt you. Committing crimes is going to hurt you, whatever. Like those things are going to hurt you, but there are things that don't help you that actually hurt you that people don't see, right? Like
Can I jump in here?
Yeah.
And the craziest part is you know exactly what's right and what's wrong. Right. Your subconscious mind tries to put it out because you like to be comfortable. It's like you don't like getting in a 39-degree cold plunge. Nobody does, but you know it's a good thing for you. You don't like getting up at 6 a.m. and going to the gym. You don't like getting work done on a computer. Is it hard work? No, you're sitting there typing and you're learning. It's not hard work. You know what's right, you know what's wrong, and you just try and push it off because you want to be comfortable. But if you are somebody that wants to live your dream life and do everything you've ever wanted to, then you have to do what's uncomfortable. And that's the only thing you have to do, is do what's uncomfortable, do what you don't want to do, and I guarantee you your life is gonna change.
Also, I'm sorry, I'm about to rant here for a second, but before I get into that, if you guys haven't already, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. Yeah. So we'll be posting these at least 1, 2, 3 times a week. Also, if you want to get into land flipping, linked in the bio will be a free training to show you guys how we do what we do. But adding on to all that is, I've actually completely lost train of thought of what I was going to say. But like essentially anyone can do anything, and a lot of people just don't believe in themselves. That's what I was going to touch on, is no one understands this either. Is we live in 2025 now, and for the last 5-10 years, it was never, if Carson and I were living 50 years ago, we could not make the money we make today. You have to build your way up in a company, right? We have online, right? And even if we say we work 5 to midnight, we don't work. We touch a few buttons on our keyboard and make a few phone calls.
We're not building houses in 120 degree weather.
There are people out there digging holes in construction. They're working. We're not working. We're trying to make money, right? So you live in an age now with technology to where you can actually get rich and make a ton of money at a young age, at an old age, whenever you want to. Whereas 50 years ago, you had to work your way up. You had to come from money. A million different things had to go right. Anyone can get rich now. There's 14-year-olds making tens of millions of dollars in crypto right now, which I'm not saying to do, but it's possible, right? That was never a possibility before. So while it's here and while you're able to do it, if you want that lifestyle, I think it's possible, and it's easier than ever, right? It's not easy, but it's easier than it's ever been before. So that's all I got. I just I know we kind of came out of nowhere because we were one of the few people that actually spent 2.5 years building a business before we came on social media, so we can teach you guys. We're not showing you guys the beginning stages, which I know a lot of people like to see, but we didn't have time to film. We were working all day, every day, right? Like, we didn't have social media. So I just want to get on here, kind of let everyone know our story. And then I think that's all I got.
Yeah, no, that's about it. We got to sign off here. We got to jump over to dinner. But anybody that doesn't subscribe yet, we're dropping at least a video every single week. Yeah. We'll try to do twice a week, depending on how busy we are. But at least a video every single week. So if you haven't, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and follow us on Instagram. But we'll be posting videos every single week. So
awesome.